I look like a gardener to you? I am a better, I am not a gardener. Hedging is for gardens. How does your garden grow?
With plus money.
With plus money. Hedging is for gardens.
Welcome in everyone to Betting Weekly Live Champions League Special. It's Tuesday the 24th of February. We are here to talk about and find the best bets for the UEFA Champions League playoff round. Second leg, you with Steve Wyss and Nigel Seeley. Nigel, you're out there on in Dubai at the moment. How's it going?
Yeah, very hot, mate. Unfortunately, the gold jacket never made it in the suitcase. The gold Speedos and the shorts did, but the gold jacket wasn't allowed out. It was too hot to bring the gold jacket out. So it's the first time ever we've done a Champions League show without the golden jacket. But it's the first time I put the old specs on because with my laptop, I can't read any of the screen anymore. Getting old, so I've had to put the old glasses on. I feel very intelligent here, so that means we're going to catch the daily double today.
Well, you've certainly gone for the Liam Rossini look, haven't you, today? So, yeah, looking rather good. How is everyone doing? It's exciting times. This is, the necks are on the block for certain teams this round, Nigel. This is when it gets really serious. Obviously, after this round, we get in a draw on Friday, and it will be the last 16 proper. But, it really was quite interesting how last week, several big teams, they're now in genuine jeopardy, Nigel. So I think we've got a really big week upcoming. I think there's going to be a lot of betting action as well. And, the weekend, it was the most wagered on soccer weekend in over a year on Bet Rivers.
Wow.
And I'm expecting a lot more action this week because there's a lot of excitement going around, isn't there?
Well, it's sort of like, I know that the Premier League was exciting, the Champions League's now getting the business, and we get to sort of March and April, and the soccer comes fast and furious, and it's all good matches, all really good matches. And I suppose this year as well, with the World Cup to look forward to in the summer, and the countdown to the World Cup is starting now. So everyone's getting soccer crazy. The Champions League's looking good. Some big matches, some really intriguing matches tonight, sort of fascinating matches. Not particularly like in terms of great bets. I mean, the Newcastle game, for example, how's that going to go? We've got no idea. But the Bodo Glimt Inter Milan one is the one that I'm really looking forward to tonight. That's the one that you'll have differing opinions on that one. Very interested to see what people say on the chat. Can't wait to see your comments and what you've got to think of tonight's matches, especially on the Newcastle game, because I think we're going to need some help on that one. But I do think that the action really now does get busy across the world of soccer. Titles are on the line all across Europe. A title race in England, and Champions League hotting up to the knockout stages, and the World Cup on the horizon.
Yeah, it's really, really exciting times. Welcoming everyone. Rick Haley, Villa fan says, got my phone mounted on my handlebar so I can listen to the show while cycling home.
Be careful. Be very careful. We don't want you falling over, Adam, and we're getting a lawsuit because you've fallen off your bike. We don't want that. So be very, very careful. Pull over when it's safe to do so. Have a cup of coffee, have a cappuccino, sit down in a nice cafe and watch us there rather than be riding on your bike.
Byron, good to see you. Ming Chung, we'll talk about the Bodo match, of course. And yeah, they are plus 100 to qualify. Byron says the tennis shows have been great and the winners have been coming left, right, and centre on the tennis, Nige. It was a great weekend for the whole channel, really. Winners everywhere, extra time, Premier League in profit, 2 more daily doubles from the PM crew, and the tennis winners have been through the roof. It's sensational stuff.
Yeah, good. You go through sort of stages like that, don't you? You know, sometimes you can't find a winner, and then sometimes you can't stop back betting winners. And the tennis has been really good on the outright picks on both shows. And Tim Dennis, who's coming to do the WTA this year, he's 4-0, and his first bet this morning woke up to a plus 365 winner. So you don't really get that a lot in tennis, but betting picks at plus 365, and that's the kind of form we are on. All saying that, though, I had a bet today in Dubai, which didn't do very well. A guy got injured, which was a bit of a nightmare, so no good for me. But I'm involved in a match to start any second now. Hercash against Mentic. I've gone over the games, and I've gone over the first set overs at 10.5 as well. So hopefully that can recuperate some of my losses today. But tennis is great. The whole channel's buzzing. We've got there's a feel good factor here, and we're going to bring it on today. I've got confident on my sun lounger today with my glasses, looking professional. I've gone through and found the winners. Don't worry about that.
I'm looking forward to this, Nigel. Pedro Sampaio, welcome in. I think that's a new name in chat. He said he grabbed Man United live yesterday at plus 150. Sesko, the super sub. He worked for you, Nigel, on the Premier League show there, grabbing Manchester United. It was the one moment of quality in what was a really poor game. But sadly, they were the biggest soccer bet of the day in the Premier League, $50,000 on Man United to score in the first half at minus 137 was a loser. But someone did have 66,000 on Fiorentina to score in the first half against Pisa, and that did win. So congratulations.
Looking good though, Sesko, isn't he? I mean, I think he's a young player who's come with a lot of pressure on him, but more and more I see about it, the more quality. The goal against West Ham was exceptional. I think Michael Carrick's doing a good job in, and Sesko will push him for a starting place at the weekend, and Man United now pushing for a top 3 or maybe even top 4 finish.
Yeah, I think you can either put him in the team or just keep using him as the super sub. But his finishing's a lot better. That winner he got against Fulham a few weeks ago, I thought was a good finish, and yesterday was too. So fair play to Sesko. Maybe he's just starting to prove some of his doubters wrong. We're going to crack into the matches soon, but before then, I must remind people about the Champions League bonus bet, which is available. If you bet with BetRivers in New York or New Jersey, you can take advantage of a Champions League bonus bet from Betting Weekly here. Enter the bonus code BW216 for a $10 bonus bet, and you can use it on any of the Champions League knockout round matches today or tomorrow. That's BW216 to get that $10 bonus bet. And it's available to BetRivers bettors only in New York and New Jersey. Offer ends February 25th, tomorrow. Must be 21 and eligible players only. Don't miss out on that bonus bet if you are eligible. Maybe you might want to use that bonus bet on the early kickoff today. We'll start there. But before that, we've got a nice graphic. Thanks to producer John for this one. This is the current draw. Things will become more clearer after this playoff round and once it's done on Friday. But we start with Atletico Madrid, who are going to be in action against Club Brugge, 3-3 in the first leg. The winner of this match will play either Tottenham or Liverpool. 50-50 chance, whoever goes through. Atletico Madrid, they'll take a draw away from home probably in that first leg, and they are now minus 278 to win the second leg. Club Brugge at plus 650 and the tie at plus 430. Atletico minus 455 to qualify. This is the 12:45 p.m. Eastern Time kickoff. First part of the Daily Double is going to be in this match as well, Nigel. It's going to be a player prop. But before we move to the props, are you expecting Atletico to go through there? Is minus 455 a lock for those after an easy sort of parlay money?
Well, I don't think anything is easy at this time of the season or in the Champions League, but they are the overwhelming favourites, and they're the worthy favourites, aren't they? This Atletico Madrid side this season are very attack-minded. They're very, very hungry for goals. A lot of people would have cashed on the over 2.5 and the over 3.5 in the first leg, and I think we're in for a similar kind of night tonight. The one thing, I was going through some research today. I don't know if you know this, but Atletico Madrid are unbeaten in 19 matches in Champions League knockout games. They've won 12 and drawn 7. Simeone knows how to set his side up at this stage. He's up against a side in Bruges who, aren't, they're okay domestically, but this is a big step up for them. And they could become the second team tonight in a century to eliminate a Spanish club in European football in knockout stages. So that is what they're up against in a century. Only the second Belgian side to do that. So that's what we've got to find against. The one thing I do expect this evening is goals. Sorloth didn't play in the first leg. He was on the subs bench. I expect him to start after scoring 2 goals at the weekend. Lookman scored at the weekend. Alvarez scored at the weekend. And that is a formidable lineup in that match, in the attack here. I do fancy goals tonight. I think the over 2.5 goals is short, but over 3.5 goals is plus 107. I think that represents some value. Over 2.5 goals is minus 240, which is similar price to Atletico Madrid on the money line. I do think Bruges will score as well. I mean, they scored 3 against them last week, and they should have probably felt they would have been got something more from the game. Minus 167 though for both teams to score. Again, a very, very short price, but I do expect Atletico Madrid to win this. I expect them to come through, and I expect them to score a couple of goals. I think this is a very, very heavy scoring game. I expect something like 4-1, 3-1, something like that. I do think they'll score. And Alvarez is where I'm looking for my angles. I mean, I'm going to go straight into my first leg of the daily double, actually, if you don't mind. It's a very, very short price. I mean, if you look at it, it's quite a short price, but his record in Champions League football is quite phenomenal, Alvarez, for Atletico Madrid. The last 16 goals that Atletico Madrid have scored in the Champions League, he's been involved in 15 of them. He's scored 12 and assisted in 3. In a match tonight where I expect Atletico Madrid to score at least 2 goals, I'm expecting them to win in a high-scoring affair. I'm going to go with Alvarez to score or assist at any time. It is short. It's like minus 220 on the money line, but we're going to boost it up in a daily double. But I think his record is phenomenal, and that is in the big crucial matches. And when you've got like these kind of knockout stages, this is where you want your big players to turn up. And Alvarez is a big-time player for Atletico Madrid. I fancy goals tonight. I think both teams to score would be going over the 3.5. But Alvarez is the go-to man in these big matches, and that is the first leg of my daily double.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a match for goals. I like the over 3.25 goal line here, personally. And the biggest bet on the game, actually, on the sportsbook is over 3.5 goals, nearly $4,000 placed on that, plus 105. Very likely to open up. And to be honest with you, I think it's quite a bit of a dangling carrot at the end of this, because you've got a 50-50 chance of facing Tottenham Hotspur. And I think everyone wants to be facing Spurs right now. So I think both teams will believe they can go through. Atletico definitely rightly favourites, and I think they will probably have too much over the 90 minutes. So I'm definitely going to be back in the overs here. That Alvarez stat, Nigel, is incredible. That he
just give me some other. Sorry, Steve. There's a bit of a lag on the line at the moment, but just to give you some other insights into this match and why goals. Look at Bruges' matches. 8 of their last 9 matches have featured over 2.5 goals. 6 of Bruges' last 8 away games has also seen both teams to score. So they're good for a goal here, and I think this is going to be a carry on from the first leg. Statistically, second legs in knockout stages and in the Champions League produce more goals than the first leg. It's going to take very hard to beat that on tonight's matches, because they were goal fest, wasn't there? But I do think here this is a game that's got goals in it. Look at all the goal angles, maybe even ladder 3.5, 4.5. Both teams to score, yes. 4-1, 3-1, 4-2. I think it's going to be a cracker. I expect Atletico Madrid. The days of Simeone parking the bus and winning 1-0 at home are long, long gone by this Atletico Madrid side. Sorloth back in the starting 11. Goals galore. That front three, Sorloth, Lookman, and Alvarez have got goals in them. And Alvarez is just the man to go to in the Champions League for Atletico Madrid.
Yes, Sorloth is a major, major weapon for Atletico Madrid, and I expect them to use him here. Mike makes a good point. Rory Barlow was on Instagram today, and he has got some thoughts on the game, and he does like the Lookman shot on target as part of his bet for the match. Our man in Madrid there, Rory Barlow. Do check out the Instagram account. Follow it if you've not already. Loads of content on there.
If you don't want, it's one of that kind of game, though. Someone's just commented there, would you really want to bet minus 240 for that? But it's the kind of match where you could probably put 2 or 3 players in and pile up shots on target, isn't it? I mean, it's going to be 3-3 in the first leg. Second leg, Bruges have got in with the chance of making history. Atletico Madrid have just got goals in them. It's going to be a basketball. It's going to be a basketball match. So maybe put that in as not as a single. Put it in with Alvarez. Put it in for Sorloth. Put it in with Lookman as well. Maybe a treble. All of them to have a shot on target, because I think they all will. I think it's that kind of game, rather than, but if your appetite wants to bet in minus 240s as singles, it's entirely up to you, however you want to wager it. But to boost it up, I think I'd put a couple of players in my parlay for shots on target.
You could actually put Sorloth, Alvarez, Lookman, and Solis for a shot on target each, plus 340.
Yeah, so, that's the kind of thing that's a nice play. That is. Obviously, the only thing you got to worry about there is one of them gets injured or substituted. That'll be a bit of a worry. But just looking at this match, I mean, it's hard. It's virtually impossible not to see goals. It really is.
In terms of the money for this game, 91% of the money is on Atletico Madrid on the money line. Just 67% of the money is on the over-under market. But that is a 3.5 goal line, remember. And those high goal lines do sometimes put people off. The first part of Nigel's daily double is Julian Alvarez to score or assist. So bear that one in mind. Good luck, whatever you are taking. I'm with you, Nigel. I think Atletico Madrid 3-1 is the score I'm going to go with. I don't see Club Brugge producing the shot personally, but I'm not ruling it completely out. I think they'll be competitive. Okay, let's move to the next match then, Newcastle-Qarabag. And I think we can say with some certainty that it will be Newcastle going through. So Newcastle are going to face Chelsea or Barcelona in the next round. That's going to be a tasty tie, whatever the outcome, because they're 6-1 up against Qarabag. And the problem when this happens, Nigel, we're thinking about team selection, we're thinking about motivation, stuff like that. Qarabag are 17-1 to win at St James's Park in the second leg. The tie plus 850. Newcastle were minus 910 this morning. They have now drifted somewhat to minus 835. I mean, the problem here, Qarabag, I think, will still want to go for it for pride, but Newcastle, all sorts of rumours about their potential 11. I'm just not sure who's going to start here for them. And I kind of already drew a bit of a line under the game. These sort of matches, I'm never that interested in getting involved in. I don't know how you normally approach them.
Well, I think they're virtually impossible. I mean, because everyone looks at the 6-1 and thinks, well, you know, if they play to their true potential, that they could produce a similar kind of scoreline. And then a lot of people think that the team that 6-1 are playing for more than for pride, and the team that was 6-1 up take it easy on them. I think if I was asked to bet on the 2.5 Asian handicap, I think I'd rather be with Qarabag than Newcastle plus 2.5. I'd rather be with a team that have lost 6-1, who have come in here with their reputation to restore, rather than a side in Newcastle who have got some big games coming up. Newcastle have 4 matches at home in the Premier League and the FA Cup. Some big games as well. They've on the back of some really, really big matches as well. Man City at the weekend. I've been saying for weeks that Newcastle look tired. They've got an FA Cup home match, Newcastle against Manchester City, which I think, that to me is Eddie Howe's priority now, the FA Cup. And I think it's a massive opportunity for Newcastle to rest virtually everybody in the team. Thao, Thao, I pronounce it, is suspended, the defender, always good for a goal. Gordon is very likely to play. I thought Waltermada might play because he's desperate for a goal. It doesn't look like he's going to play. There is talk that Wyss might start. But I think this is a great opportunity for Eddie Howe to rest everybody and give the kids a go. The one positive that Qarabag can take is in the last 5 of their last 6 home matches for Newcastle. So in 5 of their last 6 matches, they've conceded at least 2 goals. So I spoke about Qarabag to a couple of friends of mine, like guys who are regular bettors, and their assumption of Qarabag is they're good for a goal. That's what they say to me. They're good for a goal, Qarabag. So if they get into Newcastle early here, and it's going to be quite a strange atmosphere at St James's Park, I think you're going to have a lot of children there, a lot of kids there going for their first match. Season ticket holders probably won't go. People will just get, when England play and they play like Gibraltar, or they play the minnows at Wembley, the average age of the crowd is either over 85 or between under 6. It's a huge range of age, and I got a feeling that Qarabag might raise their game a little bit, and I think Newcastle might be off. So I think for me, I'd be betting Qarabag plus 2.5 rather than Newcastle minus 2.5. But of all the matches, I have notes and notes and notes. This is my notes on this game. And it says at the bottom, it says, no bet. Hopefully Steve has something.
Well, do you know, there's 2 bets that do tempt me, Nigel. And the first one would be Qarabag to score a goal at minus 129. And the second, every lineup I'm seeing from Newcastle is putting William Osula in the lineup. And now he's going to start up front, the main striker, against Qarabag at home, plus 130 to score any time. The problem is, Nigel, I was looking back to see when he scored his last goal, and it's a long, long time ago. I'm not actually sure the exact date, but it's a fair while. He was injured for a lot of that. But
the biggest point there, Steve, to take is that if you're minus $9 on the money line and your centre forward is plus 130, it doesn't matter when you last scored that, and you're a 2.5 goal favourite, which they are.
Yeah,
plus 130 is a bet. There's no doubt about it. But the trouble is, you've got to rely on a team who's been right. Luckily enough, in the camp, we do have a Newcastle season ticket holder, someone who goes to the games regularly, our Paul the Hitman Hughes, and he's told me to look out for a young player tonight for Newcastle called Sean Neave. Neave. Now, I must admit, I know nothing about Sean Neave, but he's 18 years of age. He's from Newcastle, hometown boy, and he reckons he may feature tonight. Now, I've looked at the Bet Rivers website. There is no odds for Sean Neve to score because I don't think anyone at Bet Rivers has ever heard of Sean Neve. But I don't think even Mr. and Mrs. Neve know who Sean Neve is. But anyway, the hitman knows him, and he's told me that Sean Neve could be starting tonight. He may make a part. He's a striker, under 21, home-based talent. Will be given a run, potentially in the second half. If he comes on as a substitute, hitman reckons he's good for a goal. So have a look out for him. I needed the help on that one, so I've asked for Sean Neve.
Yeah, I've heard that there could be quite a few local lads genuinely getting some minutes tonight for Newcastle, whether they start or come off the bench, and that'll please the home crowd. They love the local Geordie talent getting out there on the pitch. And Osceola plus 130 to score anytime probably is a bet, actually, because he will. I mean, Newcastle could have won that first leg 10 or 12. Honestly, I couldn't believe how bad Qarabag were defensively.
They can't have an off day like that, though. I mean, I remember. Do you remember years ago where teams? I remember going back years ago that Liverpool played Crystal Palace and beat Crystal Palace 9-0. This is going back a few years ago. I think the return fixture was 0-0, and I remember Leicester City playing Southampton and putting 9 past or 8 past Southampton, and then it didn't go the reverse fixture. And also, I've gone through the stats on the Premier League show years ago. I think the 20 matches of the top highest scoring games where teams have conceded the most goals, it was something like 17 of them went under in the following match. So it doesn't usually work out like that. Once you've had a bad day in the office, you'll work hard. And Qarabag didn't play at the weekend, so the last game they had was against Newcastle. So I believe I don't see that. So I would probably be looking to go because it's going to be a strange atmosphere. St James's Park is usually rocking. This isn't going to be rocking tonight. This is not home game, second leg in a place in the knockout stages. You would expect it to be quite tight, and the crowd being an advantage for Newcastle. I'm not quite sure if it is, And I think tonight the unders could be the call. Under 3.5 goals is plus 120. Probably not that, but I do think 2.5 start with getting with Qarabag would be marginal value for me. I like to swim against the tide, and I think that tonight I don't think it'll be anywhere near what we saw in the first leg.
Some interesting bets coming up in chat here. I think someone put Qarabag goalkeeper saves earlier on. Shots as well for Qarabag, over 7.5 shots. Brad Bet says the problem is for Qarabag that wasn't an off day. That's just who they are. The almighty Hustler. He thinks Qarabag could be good for a goal versus those Newcastle kids. The biggest bet on the game is actually an interesting one. Nearly $3,000 placed on Qarabag to have over 0.5 corners in the first half. So basically, Qarabag to get a first half corner at minus 270. That's the biggest bet on the game. There is 69% of the money's on the over, Nigel, for this game. Not great support for the over. And the goal line is obviously very, very high.
Newcastle games are always very, very high for corners, aren't they? And Newcastle are the highest corners. What would the corner handicap? I don't think I'd be betting that because there's no reason for them to keep going for it. I mean, just the rule of thumb. Whenever a team has a heavy defeat, you usually want to be going unders and getting with them on the second leg because the market usually overreacts. So probably Qarabag plus 2.5 for me.
Yeah, it's a sort of match. The last 20, 30 minutes could be a genuine damp squib, as we call it over here. But good luck, whatever anyone is taking in it in this fixture. We're going to move to Germany, Leverkusen against Olympiacos. And they're in that bottom right section of the draw there. The winner has the pleasure of facing either Bayern Munich or Arsenal in the next round. So it could well be the game over for either, whoever comes through this tie. But at the moment, Leverkusen are the clear favourites to prevail. They are minus 5,000 to qualify. They are 2-0 up. They're now at home against Olympiacos. Minus 130 on the money line to win the second leg. Olympiacos plus 325 to win. They have to win, otherwise they're out of the competition. The owner, Evangelos Marinakis, reportedly offered the biggest ever bonus in Greek soccer history if they could qualify for the next round. But that hasn't really worked wonders yet, Nigel. Can Olympiacos come back here?
It's going to be very hard, very, very hard. But Olympiacos did overturn a 4-1 deficit against Maccabi Tel Aviv when they won the Conference League in 2023, 2024. So that gives them some hope. So there is some hope, but I think it's going to be very, very hard. If you look, and remarkably, last week that win for Leverkusen was their first road match in the Champions League knockout stages. They've never won a game on the road in the Champions League knockout stages. They've won there, but their record at home is phenomenal. 18 matches in the Champions League for Leverkusen, won 11 and drawn 5. And only lost 2. That's in the knockout games. So at home, they're a very tough nut to crack. Defensively, they're very, very strong. Schick got the 2 goals last week, and I think I can't see any hope for the Olympiacos here. I think the owner's bonus is safe in his pocket. The other thing I quite like about this for Leverkusen factors as well is that Olympiacos probably know if they go 3-0 down, I think they'll ease up because they're involved in a title race as well domestically, and that is going to become very, very important for them as well. They're only 2 points behind the leaders there. So I can't see them lose. If they're 3-0 down, the tie is pretty much over. You've got to go a long, long time to find the last time that anyone sort of come back from 2 goals deficit in the knockout stages. Only 2 teams, I think, have ever done that in the last 18 years, come back from a 2-goal deficit and then gone the way and turned it over. So that's going to be very, very hard for them to come to do it. The other thing I think about this one is I think it's going to be quite low scoring. I was very tempted. Well, I will be betting it, but I'm not going to put it in the daily double. I like Leverkusen to win 2-0 here. It's plus 225. I think that's a really good price. I mean, historically, Greek sides on the road aren't to be trusted. Leverkusen's just are very, very hard to break down. 2 of Olympiacos' last 12 matches, both teams have scored has been a no. 2 of the last 10 Leverkusen matches, both teams have scored has been a no. I think if they get if they go 1-0 up here, I think that could be over. And if they do, I think the Olympiacos spirit and fight will go because, like I say, it's going to be virtually impossible to turn it around, and they've got to save all the energy for a title race. So very strong on Leverkusen here to win this match on the money line. I will be betting Leverkusen to win 2-0 at 225. I think that's a nice play if you want to have a small wager on that. But Leverkusen to win this match and keep up that excellent home record and potentially set up a mouth-watering all-German tie in the last 16 against Bayern Munich is the way I'm going. And that's the second leg of my daily double. So I'm with Alvarez to score or assist in the Atletico Madrid game, and we're going to go for Leverkusen to beat Olympiacos tonight.
Yeah, that's the official daily double. It's on screen there. I think I like the under here as well, actually, Nigel. We've got a goal line at 2.75 because Bayer Leverkusen, I mean, they limited Olympiacos to 1 shot on target at home. Now, Leverkusen have got a very clever manager, former Denmark boss, Kasper Hjulmand. They don't have to go all out here. They can just sit back and wait for Olympiacos to sort of make mistakes. Olympiacos have to force the pace in Germany. So I definitely could see probably quite a cagey first half, and then maybe Leverkusen just pick them off on the break. And you're right, if Leverkusen get ahead, there's a 3-goal deficit. It really is the end of it.
And I think you've got to think about gameplay and state of their domestic title. I think that's important. I'm not, some of these teams, Newcastle, Qarabag means nothing, but Olympiacos, if they go out of the Champions League at the playoff stage and then finish runners up in their domestic league, it's a bad season. So if you're 1-0 down and then you're up against your arch rivals to win the Greek league, I think that's got to be in the manager's psyche as well. So protect them for the running and try to crawl back those 2 points at the top of the table. So I like Leverkusen. I mean, there's a lot of people who think Olympiacos might score. I don't. I think they've got to score first. If they are going to score, they've got to get the goal first. If they go 1-0 down, I think they'll struggle. I know they don't need to win, but I think they're a better side. Olympiacos are poor travellers. If you go back through Olympiacos' recent record away from home in Champions League matches against German sides, they played 11, lost 9, won 1. So they're not to be trusted. And this is a very, very good Leverkusen home side. Their home record is very, very good. And I think they'll win it. I know they don't need to win, but nor do Newcastle, and they're minus $9.
But this sometimes happens so many times that teams that don't need to win do win because of the game state.
That's a myth, isn't it? I mean, if teams that don't need to win, if they're 1-0 up with 25 minutes to go, like we don't need to win, But I think I think if they're 1-0 up with 25 minutes to go or 10 minutes to go, Olympiacos know they're out, then who's going to be the team that don't need to win or 1-0 up, or the team that know that they've got to score 3 goals in the last 15 minutes and have got a big game at the weekend to in their domestic league? This is what the second legs in these Champions League do. They make it really interesting. They make you think. They make you put you. I think game state, who needs it more? And that's why I always talk about how much weekend matches are important to teams, who they're playing at the weekend, who they're not playing important at the weekend, because you see tactical changes with 25 minutes when the teams are cruising. If Man City, for example, were winning and they were playing Arsenal at the weekend, then I can bet your bottom dollar the last 25 minutes Haaland wouldn't be playing, and given the rest of these people. And that's what you're going to see with Newcastle tonight. They're going to rest virtually everybody so they can come fresh and try to push for European football and try to get the FA Cup.
Interesting stat from producer Troy. Both teams to score has failed to hit in 5 of Leverkusen's last 6 Champions League games, and also in 12 of Olympiacos' last 15. Both teams score no for this game is at plus 128. So, and I could actually see that hitting as well here, for sure. Interesting comment there from where is he? North Vancouver Canuck. He's throwing some pizza money on a Bodo and Qarabag parlay. That's 179 to 1 on the money line. By the way, North Vancouver Canuck there. And yeah, Olympiacos, we know that domestically they've got to focus. There's a bonus they've got domestically as well, Nigel. If they win their last 5 domestic games, the owner has said he's going to give every player 1 million bonus. So
that's more achievable, isn't it? Like, if you look at their playing, they're going to be heavy minus money in all those games. And they'll probably win the title. So that's going to be in your mind. Interesting there. Someone said that it was the birthdays for Sean Murphy's snooker player, Jacob Murphy and Anthony Gordon. I mean, they are the birthday. I think they'll probably have the birthday night off. I think they'll be celebrating in a bar somewhere rather the game's on. I'm not quite sure if they'll feature, probably on the subs bench. But, interesting. And Sean Neve is plus 110. I would want a little bit bigger than plus 110, actually. Sean Neve.
Yeah.
So young. I mean, that shows you then, if Sean Neve is plus 110 to score, shows you what a great bet the other guy is at plus 130.
Or it just shows you how bad William Osler is.
We'll know in about 3 hours from now.
We certainly will. Where was the good comment that I've seen? It was Dave's parlay, but we think the team news is out. We think Lookman's on the bench for Atletico today. Right. So take the Lookman. I'm surprised he's on the bench actually, but maybe he can be used as a major weapon there. There is 69% of the money is on Leverkusen still for this game. 65% of the money is on the over. Biggest bet on the game, Leverkusen -1 Asian handicap, $2,000. That's at plus 120. Reminder of that daily double. Like I say, Julian Alvarez to score or assist for Atletico Madrid, and then by Leverkusen money line. And that double plays plus 160. Let's move to the final game of the Champions League today to talk about, and it's probably the most interesting one on the card, actually. We've got Bodo Glimt travel to Inter. 3-1 lead for the Norwegian runners-up here to go to the San Siro. Winner faces either Man City or Sporting Club. Quite winnable, actually, if you faced Sporting. But Inter have got themselves in a real mess here, Nigel. They're 3-1 down. They are -420 just to win the second leg. They're still the favourites to qualify, -134. Bodo Glimt are plus 100 in this territory. The goal line's massive. It's 3.75. And we are expecting quite a lot of goals in this fixture. The runaway league leaders of Serie A, if they get knocked out of this, the rest of their season is going to be a complete procession, really. It's so important for them that they turn it around. Will they do it, do you believe?
Well, I think this is going to be squeaky bum time for both sets of supporters, because I think they're going to have a good go at doing it. And it's whether Bodo Glimt can hold out and whether they got the belief and they can, but they're going to have an avalanche, aren't they? I mean, if you look at the angles to attack here, corners, first corner for Inter Milan corners, because they've got to go. They've just got to go for it. They've got to get 4 goals in this match. They've got, or they're going to get 3 goals in this match and prevent Bodo Glimt scoring, which is going to be very, very hard. But all those odds are being factored in. Every single price is ridiculously short with Bet Rivers, because they know exactly what the sides have got to do. I know Bodo Glimt games are high, and I know they're the go-to kings on the overs. but the over 3.5 line at like minus, what is it, minus 157. I mean, I don't think I've ever seen an Inter Milan game in Europe where the best defense in Europe, we were saying last season, is minus 157 for over 3.5 goals. Incredible. But Inter have just done this to themselves. They've imploded in the Champions League. They've lost 4 of their last 5 Champions League matches. Their domestic form's been great. On the Champions League, they've been awful. And this is going to be hard for them. This is a real test against a side who, the fact that Inter are going to come at them, does what Bodo does best. Hit them on the break. And that's exactly what they did against Manchester City. That's what they did. This is going to be very, very nervy. But I think this could end. I mean, if Inter Milan are 2-0 up with 25 minutes to go, or 1-0 and struggling, I think this could end up being feisty. I can see the Italians losing their head here, because we've seen Italian players lose their head in big matches like this. But the embarrassment for the champions of Italy to go out against a Norwegian opposition like this would be probably one of the biggest letdowns in Italian football. I mean, the media would absolutely destroy them, and the players will feel that. Martinez got injured in the last round. I think he might be back, but that will make the goals in here. But Inter have been winning to nil in their matches, and they'll try that. I think that could be a popular play here. But I think this is going to be a cracker. Really is a cracker.
Really is.
Who was the last Norwegian side to make the knockout stage of the Champions League? There's only one team.
It would have to be. It would have to be Rosenborg, surely.
No, it wasn't.
It wasn't Rosenborg.
No, it wasn't Rosenborg.
I don't know who that would have been then.
Lillestrøm in 1987, 1988.
Wow.
The last time a Norwegian side got to knockout stages. So almost 20 years ago, what they're trying to do here. And it will be incredible. But Inter, I think they're going to just fall short. I think it's going to be 2-1. I think they'll be pushing for the third, and then they might get caught in a counter-attack. And if they get caught in a counter-attack with 10 minutes to go, the Inter players will lose their heads completely. This is a side was in the Champions League 2 years ago. Got beat by last year against Paris Saint-Germain. I mean, formidable opposition, and to lose against a Norwegian side would be unheard of. And I fear for them this evening.
I've got a gut feeling this match goes to extra time. I think there will be a match today that goes to extra time. 3-1 for that to happen, by the way. You have to bet on Inter -2 game spread tie for that. I wouldn't be surprised. Bodo Glimt have gone to extra time on 6 occasions in the last 3.5 years in Europe. They are well known for taking it the distance. They're usually good for a goal. They've not lost, though, any of their last 50 games in Europe by more than 2-goal margin, which is incredible. So
there are a couple of things. Sorry, go Steve. Go on.
Yeah, I was just going to say, like, only since they won their first title in 2020, only Roma and Arsenal have beaten them by more than 2 goals in Europe. So they have been beaten by exactly 2 goals a few times, but for Inter to actually beat them by 3 or more, it would probably take in 90 minutes would take a really big effort from Inter. So they'll come here and they'll give it a really good go, Bodo. They normally score at least a goal. I could see 3-1 again, actually. It wouldn't surprise me if that happened. Or even 3-2, perhaps in 90 minutes.
Well, Inter's tactic from the last season and recently in the Champions League would be to try to win this game to 0 and win it 3-0. And the Inter teams, marshalled by the great centre-halves they've had, Chiellini and all these in years gone by. Sorry, not Chiellini. All the other major centre defenders they've had in years gone by would have done this, and they've kept 11. They've won 11 times to 0 in their last 15 home wins in the Champions League. So when in the last 15 matches, 11 of they've won to 0. But Bodo just score, and I don't think from the first leg they'll have any confidence they can keep them out. So it's a real difficult tactical one. Do you go straight out, go out straight away to try to get the goal? Or do you play patiently and then just try to protect and not concede? But the more they have to push forward, the more vulnerable they are against his fantastic counter-attacking side. So I'm with you. I think this could go to extra time. I think we could be in for a long one here. But I think if it isn't going the Italians' way, then the fear of the repercussions tomorrow morning in the press and from the owners of Inter will be felt very, very heavily.
It would be sensational. I'm just going to talk about a few players in the game. I mentioned him last week on Wednesday. Jens Petter Hauge comes alive in the Champions League, plus 123 for a shot on target for Bodo Glimt. He's actually the most likely goal scorer, in my opinion. Former AC Milan player as well. He would love to make a difference in this match. And if Inter do actually start Jan Bissek in this game, the tallest man on the field, at plus 195 for a shot on target, I think Glimt are vulnerable from set pieces, but Inter only got 4 corners in the first leg. They're going to get more here because they're going to welcome back a massive weapon, Federico Di Marco, who has had 15 assists this season and 20 goal involvements in 24 Serie A games. Di Marco is actually minus 106. A score or assist is probably another really good player prop here. That's they're gonna. I don't see how they cut off his supply line, Bodo Glimt. He was on. I think he was injured for the first leg. He was on the bench, but he was injured. He's having a hell of a season. He's going to break the Serie A assist record as long as he stays fit. And this is the best match of the night by a long, long way. And the money's split, actually, Nigel, here. Just 54% of the money's on Inter Milan, which is, I thought there'd be more of them on that. Just 59% of the tickets are on Inter and 73% of the money on the over-under market's on the over. So I've seen a lot of comments in here. Quite a lot of support for Bodo Glimt, actually. A lot of people think Bodo can spring the shock and qualify.
Well, I think when you've got a goal in you, then you've got a chance. And this is what they Bodo have got more than a goal in them. And that's why it's, Inter Milan, Juventus in the past, Man City, all these kind of, when you go in these kind of matches, you always think, if I can keep a clean sheet, I can get the 2 goals I needed. I might even get the 3rd. The fact is here, there's more confidence around Bodo scoring than Inter keeping a clean sheet, which is just what's been their strength in European football for years and years and years. We started off this season saying they're the best defensive unit in the Champions League in Europe, and then last season they didn't even concede. I think they conceded 1 goal in the group stages, and now they've conceded 3 against the Norwegian side. And I think the market is still undervaluing Bodo Glimt. I think they're a lot better than that. People usually say I like them at home in the conditions and their pitch, but they've shown that they can mix up with the big boys. And this is this could be one. This is one of the biggest stories in the Champions League for many years if they can do this.
Yeah, there's a lot of love for them. I think a lot of people would love to see them get past Inter here. Mike's asked the question: are their season in full swing? No, the Norwegian season starts in mid-March this year. So it's not far away. There's actually a cup round before that as well. So they're just starting to get into gear. It's going to be a cracker of a game. The people talking about corners, by the way, this is one of the biggest corner lines I've seen. It's effectively 11.5 for the match, which is high. And Inter are minus money just to have over 8.5 corners themselves. So,
I just wanted to clarify. Matt's obviously picked me up on that with the Rosenborg match. What I should have said was they would be the first Norwegian side to progress from a knockout stage in the Champions League. So it's from a knockout stage tie in the Champions League since Lillestrøm in 1987-88. So the first team to win a tie in the knockout stage, not to get in a knockout tie. My mistake there. Kind of read me notes, and I've got these new glasses and my little notes, but I can't sometimes read the short. I'm in this hotel and all we've got is the world's smallest pad. So I'm just writing loads of stuff, but I read that wrong. So apologies for that.
There's some very good news, Nigel. Villa fan has arrived home. So
that is good.
That is excellent news. Now, as a reminder to everyone as well about the bonus bet in the Champions League. If you bet with Bet Rivers in New York or New Jersey, please do take advantage of the Champions League bonus bet from Betting Weekly. Enter the bonus code BW216 for a $10 bonus bet to use on the Champions League knockout round matches today or tomorrow. BW216. Available to Bet Rivers bettors in New York or New Jersey. Offer ends February the 25th tomorrow. Must be 21, eligible players only. So absolutely take advantage of that one. And there is, just before we go, Nigel, today, there's a full championship round this midweek. There was one match, I do believe, that you had your eye on this evening in the English Championship. Which one was that?
Well, I think there's a few. I mean, just quickly run through them. I mean, West Brom need a win against Charlton massively, minus 112, but in terrible form. I think I wouldn't be wanting to bet in West Brom at this moment in time. If you look at Ipswich, they conceded 5. Need a win at the top of the table, conceded 5 at the weekend against Wrexham. That's not good. They need to bounce back urgently if they need to get that. Watford are a Jekyll and Hyde side in that division. Wrexham, that was a crazy match against Ipswich. Portsmouth had a massive win against Millwall. So 2 sides there with great wins at the weekend. Middlesbrough need to bounce back. Coventry doing well at the top of the table. My team, QPR, travelled to Southampton. Whenever we're not fancy to do well, we do well. And whenever we fancy to do well, like a home to Blackburn the other day, we get beat 3-1. But the bet I've had, I mean, it's shortened up a lot, actually. It was minus 120 this morning. I bet Swansea to beat Preston tonight. Swansea got new manager, playing well, playing some good football. Preston obviously starting off the season really well. I've gone back to the mean, really, sort of down into mid-table. Not very good at the weekend against Blackburn, lost 1-0 in a local derby. Were poor against Watford, give up some silly goals on Valentine's Day. You know, they definitely gave all their love to Watford in that match, and they're a side that just slipped up a little bit. So Middlesbrough thrashed them 4-0, and Hull beat them 3-0 at home. Derby beat them at home as well. So I think there's a revival going on at Swansea. There's a backward surge going on at Preston. But I think the minus 136 has moved too much now. This morning it was minus 120, and I've had a small bet on that. But that's the only bet I've had in the championship. With Wrexham, I think you'd look at it. I think you'd look at it. But Portsmouth just had a massive. I mean, Portsmouth went to Millwall, who probably the toughest place to go in the championship. You know, for obvious reasons, and the fact that Millwall are doing really well at the moment. And very hard to score against Millwall, and they put 3 past them and absolutely battered them. And I think Wrexham will have a bit of a come down from the weekend. I mean, that match against Ipswich was a huge, huge win for them. They were 3-2 down, came back and won 5-3. And I think, again, sometimes after such a big win, it's very hard to replicate that adrenaline and that form. So I think I'd look at Wrexham. I think that could be a trap. I think everyone will look at that and go, that's the team I want to bet at minus 108. But I just feel that that's a trappy price given what they went through at the weekend. That match of the weekend was a wild one. And that puts them right in the playoff pictures now. They're sort of favourites to be in the playoffs rather than hanging on in the playoff position. So I would be a little bit careful about that one. I'm not quite sure. But I do like Swansea tonight to beat I forgot Preston. Sorry.
Yeah, a guy called A says I like Derby and Charlton. I'm kind of with you actually. I think Hull are overrated, and I can't believe West Brom are minus money to actually beat Charlton. They have been really bad since they changed their manager. Hardly even scored a goal. Don't think West Bromwich Albion. So no way could I take West Brom at minus money in that one. You can watch these matches, by the way, live on the BetRivers app today or BetRivers website. You can watch the 3 League One matches. You can watch ATP Dubai, Acapulco and Santiago, and the WTA in Merida and Austin. We've got the lineups for that first match on screen for you there. I mentioned that Lookman's not in the starting 11. We've got Alvarez, Simeone, and Shorloth up front.
Yeah, Shorloth starts. I mean, there's still goals in that. Shorloth coming back with Alvarez obviously is a big positive for the goals. Alvarez, I mean, that stat when I was looking at today, I couldn't believe that he's been involved in 15 of the last 16 of their goals this season, either assisting or scoring. So that in a matchup that they've got a goals, love that bet. Obviously, Club Brugge are missing a couple of players there through suspension and injury as well. I think and also Lookman could come on and open the game up if they need opening up. You know, like an impact player comes on with a pace, gets tired legs running. That could be a big thing in play if it's struggling at 0-0. I do like Atletico Madrid to score a few goals tonight, and I actually think they might cover the handicap here as well.
Alexander Shirloff is plus 250 to score first. Alvarez is plus 320 to score first. I'd be surprised if one of those two don't score the first goal in this game, Nigel. It's just a question of who. Hopefully, Alvarez, and get that first part of the daily double in
that'd be great.
Straight away. But we don't mind him assisting either, because that is the daily double. Remind people, Julian Alvarez to score or assists in Atletico against Club Brugge. That's the early kickoff. Less than an hour to that kickoff now, and then by Leverkusen on the money line later to beat Olympiacos. Plus 160 daily double. Let's hope we can cash that one, Nigel. That will conclude today's show. It's getting late out there for you in Dubai.
Yeah, and I don't know
but-
if the doorbells are ringing, and it's not an Uber Eats; it's a guy coming to check the minibar. So I need to stall him. So keep going because the minibar's dry. So just keep going.
so yeah, we've got a lot more content coming your way this week on,
He's still at the
on
door.
channel.
He's knocking at the door.
What incredible stuff! Incredible stuff. Are you sure it's the?
It is. He's coming to check the minibar.
I want to thank everyone who joined live or on demand today. I really appreciate your time as always. Hit that like button. We want as many likes as we can. Hit the subscribe button as well. Huge week ahead. Like I said, Will White's going to be on tomorrow. And we've got James again on Thursday. Lewis Jones is going to join us on Friday. We've got Premier League action on Friday this week. And yeah, Nigel, best bet of the day then for you?
I'm going to go for our man Alvarez to score or assist. I like that. I also like. I am going to be betting Leverkusen to win to nil at plus 225. I like him on the money line as well. Strongest bet Leverkusen, but I don't want to put all my eggs in one basket. So I'm with the Leverkusen. And also remember, I'm over here in Dubai and I'm at the tennis tomorrow. So if you want to get any in-play bets or any action, at Because We're on Instagram. And obviously myself and Sean have just recorded Betting Weekly Game Bet Match podcast and show, which I think it's live now. So you check that out as well in good form.
Yeah, there's so much content out there. Yeah, really looking forward to seeing all that the rest of the week. My best bet today, best prop would be Jens Petter Hauge shot on target plus 123. And this early game for me is going to be full of goals over 3.25. Nigel, it was a great pleasure. Enjoy yourself out there in Dubai.
Take care, mate. You're the best.
Don't get too sunburnt. Get that hat back on. And
I get on.
I'll see you all tomorrow with Will White. Looking forward to it. So take care. Remember,
Take care.
Take care. Goodbye.